All right, welcome to this episode of Life on the Streets. It's the greatest show on earth. I'm your host, Rick,
I'm Tom.
hosted by ADB Training. And we have a really special guest here today that I'm honored to have on the show, and we'll introduce him here in just a minute. But first, we got to get to the tomfoolery question. All right, Tom.
All right.
So, what would you rather do? Okay. Clear by hand under everything a meth hoarder's house, okay,
Oh,
or stand on perimeter in full gear in 100-degree weather.
ooh. Dude, stand on perimeter.
You would stand on
I'd stand
perimeter.
on perimeter in 100-degree weather, man. Dude, come on, man. How many meth houses have we cleared and
Tell
had
I'm
to go
just
through
asking,
shit
but
and
I've
stuff?
seen
You find stuff you don't want to find.
now
You
I've got a
you
picture that you may want to
you
change
you
your
find
answer.
stuff you don't want to find.
You may want to change your answer because I've seen you after you've been sweating your balls
I,
off.
I don't care, dude.
And I got a picture to prove it, and
No,
it's not good.
no. When you live, remember that? Do you ever see The Hangover 2?
No.
You haven't seen it? Did you see The Hangover 2, Justin?
I did.
So they're in this scene and they like get all hammered or whatever, and under the influence of something, they wake up in some nasty hotel in Bangkok, and there's this pile of like blankets and shit on the floor,
Okay.
and they're trying to like, they see something, they're like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. Is that a spider's nest? What is it?" You've seen the first Hangover, right?
Yes.
So it ends up being like Leslie Chow, buck ass naked, and all I can see is his penis sticking up a little bit. That's what you find in meth houses, dude. You find shit like that, stuff you don't want to find. And so, no, I'd take the perimeter any day of the week.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stick with my answer.
All right. If it were me, I would do the same.
I'm gonna
There's
stick with
just
I'm gonna
no
stick with my
way.
answer. So,
There's just no, I'd rather sweat my balls off. All right.
so
Well, that answers that question.
yeah,
So, yeah, in case any of you were wondering, there you go. So, any surveys, you got the answer. So, today we have a really special guest. Honored to have him on the show. And Tom, why don't you introduce him?
yeah. So next guest, he and I have been friends for a while, since probably like 2013, something like that. We joined the National Guard together. We were part of a special forces group, went to selection together. He continued on to go through the Q course and eventually serving on an A team, among some other stuff in his career. Um, I, however, did not injure my knee, so I didn't go. But great guy. We talk quite a bit still, keep in touch. So he's got a great journey and a great story to tell, and we're glad to have him on. So without further ado, Justin Lee.
Welcome.
Don't downplay this. I've known Tom since 2013, and Tom went to selection at age 40, and that is a remarkable 43. That is like I'm 41, and I couldn't imagine going back to selection. Tom passing selection at 43 it is a remarkable feat. I don't know many guys that can do that. But
Thank
no,
you.
guys, thanks for having me on. You reached out a while ago, and I was happy to come on and kind of share my small story that I have. But no, I appreciate that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, why don't you kind of just give us a little background about yourself from your perspective so that people
Okay.
can kind of know who you are?
No,
Just
absolutely.
tell them who you are.
I'm just a guy. I'm just
Just
a
a
guy in the
guy.
room. No, so I grew up in a small town. I remember growing up, and I was like, I will never join the military. 9/11 kicked off, never joining the military. Like this buddies of mine were like, let's go to Canada. We were those rebel kids that were just getting in trouble all the time. Fast forward 2 years later, and I'm sitting in Marine Corps boot camp. Yeah, just my life was heading a weird direction. Military, I'll tell people, military saved my life. It really did. It really changed the trajectory of my life, and I'll never forget that. I went to Marine Corps boot camp 2003. Went to Oki right away. Spent 2 years there, and it was a long 2 years because the war's kicking off. The war's going hard and strong, and all of us are like, "Can we get here? Can we get there? We want to go." Coming up on the end of my 2 years, like, where do you want to go? I don't care. Send me the first unit going to Iraq or Afghanistan. Fortunate enough, went back to the West Coast, got settled in with First Recon. got attached to a platoon. It was the time of my life. I was a mechanic in the Marine Corps, so I got attached to them because everything was vehicles at the time. Went to Iraq 2007, and that was an interesting place to be. Insurgencies everywhere. IEDs were the main focus. Attached to a recon platoon, so we were going out, and our main objective was to take out these IED emplacers. And at that time, it was Farmer Bob Joe was just trying to get money, but they were planting IDs. It was an interesting deployment. We got mortared all the time because we were in safe houses, never really clearing rooms, doing any of that fun stuff like that, but going on patrols. You talk about standing on the perimeter at 120 degrees. This was July, August, and you would have to carry 7 bottles of water in your ruck, and you're helping each other stand up because you can't stand up with your ruck and just going from house to house. The sniper guy has his sniper rifles. At that time, they were planting pressure plate IEDs. So how do we combat that? We these massive 7 tons. So they put these mine rollers on front. Hey, Justin, you're the mechanic. You're going to drive this thing because you know how to drive that thing. One unfortunate day, hit one. It was a heck of a blast. But those mine rollers, as fast as you were going, it still saved you. It still saved the underbelly from getting hit. So that mine roller blew up in the air, came back down. Our machine gunner was fine, but that was, and this leads to the blast exposure. That was my true first like major blast exposure. Prepping for Iraq, we were blasting doors, doing all that fun stuff because we thought we were clearing houses, but that was just training. Little small C4 blocks that we were putting on doors, nothing big. Got out the end of 2007. Didn't want to re-enlist, wanted to go to college, came back, and I was an S show. I was drinking all the time, and looking back, I could at that time I could say like, oh, I was just partying. I was a 23-year-old guy. Man, I was drinking some stuff away. And looking back, it wasn't what happened over there. It was the exposures, just being mad all the time. And that kind of leads to some stuff later on. Getting the end of college, like, what do I do with my life? Buddy at the time was like, hey, you ever thought about joining the Guard? SF has the Guard. And I was like, I could do that. And my fiance at the time turned into be my wife. She's like, I asked her, what do you think about me joining the Guard? And she's like, but you are a Marine. Why would you join the National Guard? Like, hold on, it's a little different. Special Forces, it's a little bit beyond that. And she gave me her blessing. Like I said, that's when I met Tom. It was interesting going through the Guard. I tell all the active duty guys, I'm like, man, selection was nothing to some of those Guard tryouts. They would have us for 4 days or a week, and they made us pay. They wanted to make sure you could go through their selection. At the time, they had like a 98% pass rate because if you could pass their selection, you're passing SF selection. Mm-hmm. So we did that. We did a couple of them. Came out here, went to selection, then came out to the Q course, went to the 2-year Q course. Fortunate enough, like, hey, can I go active duty? They said no. I had a neighbor who knew somebody higher up that was a CW5 that was like, yeah, you're going to let Justin go active duty. So fortunate enough, right place, right time. Like Tom said, went to an A team in 2018, and then that's when the real work started. Did 3 years there. Tour in Afghanistan, it wasn't crazy. It was 2020. It was a weird time. Like I remember I left the US and I came back to a different US. We were going through lockdowns when I was here, but man, in that 6 months, you guys remember 2020, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Did 2 more years, was up for promotion. My wife said, it's either me or the Army. Like if you stay in, because SF will take you for a wild ride. The Army, if you let it, it'll take you for a wild ride. If you say yes to everything, you'll never be home. And that was me. I had a 3.5-year-old, and I was gone all the time. So made the decision. It's time to get out. And man, that hits you hard. I'm sure you guys felt that when it was time to retire. It hit me hard, and I didn't know why. Like, this is going to lead into some of the stuff. I remember sitting with my 2-year-old daughter late at night with her in my arms, rocking her to sleep, going, man, my watch is over. Like this is it. Thinking about where I'm going to commit suicide. Like that, my military time was over. Like that's all I cared about. That's all I ever wanted to do. And it was like that's it for me. Like I was so in deep in this, but it was weird because I still got out and I still wanted to be a part of my family. But I remember night after night, like thinking, this is it for me. My family's better off without me. I'm an asshole at home. My wife hates me because of the things I'm saying. And looking back, I don't blame her. I was an a-hole. And trying to figure life out, I came upon a podcast and they were talking about some PTS treatments called Ibogaine. And I started going down that route.
So you had to go out of country to do this though. Isn't that right?
Ibogaine is scheduled. You guys could probably tell me what the schedule stuff is, but it is absolutely legal in the United States. It is looked at as a hallucinogen like LSD.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's legal up in Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, South everywhere but the U.S.
Yeah. Here would probably
So
be a Schedule 1. So yeah, I can see
there
that.
you go. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. So I started listening to all these podcasts of all these SEAL Team 6, these Delta guys going down there, and just how much it changed them. And actually was worried about asking my wife, like, hey, what do you think? And made her listen to a podcast with one of them. She's like, absolutely, you got to do it. If it can change where you're going. And I hadn't told my wife the whole story. Like there was a lot of stuff going on in my head that I hadn't told the wife, but she knew the a-hole side of me, the guy who's just a dick, the guy who's just flying off the handle for no good reason. And listening to these podcasts, one of them was Sean Ryan and Marcus Capone, because he was kind of the founder that not brought it to the US, but brought it to the special operations community and blasted it out to everybody. And he was talking about the micro concussions. We've all heard about knocked unconscious, and that's not good for your brain. But blowing doors, IEDs, it's those micro concussions, just shaking your brain where your brain's just injured and you become an a-hole. You're in pain all the time and you just become an asshole. So that I started connecting the dots. Like, yeah, we did a lot of breaching. We did a lot of SAFAO going through this 6-week course. You're blowing doors all day long in small confined rooms. You think it's the coolest thing in the world. Your brain doesn't. Your brain's getting rattled around and it's putting you through pain. So those micro concussions, along with just beating down your body, all of us former guys are just mad all the time. So that's where it really connected the dots. Like, hey, no matter what I do, like I need to fix my brain. So at that time, I was getting ready to have my 3rd child. I quit drinking. Okay, maybe this is it. Maybe I just need to quit drinking because it would just bring up the anxiety and the stress if I wasn't drinking.
Right.
Didn't help. Didn't help. It helped a little bit, but I still was on this trajectory of I'm going to end it someday. Like I was born to be a military guy. I was born to be an SF guy. Now that's over. Like I have nothing to give society. My kids, trying to justify my kids would be better off without me. My wife would be better off without me. You'll be upset, but hey, you'll get over it and you guys will move on. Those are the things that my friends and I may not talk about, but that's what suicide for a special operation, former law enforcement, that's what the guys think. Like, you're better off without me. And it's the craziest thing to think of. Like, your kids are better off without you. This is me looking back now. I don't know how you can justify that. So my wife said I could go on the trip. And I was like, all right. We went down to Mexico. It was a wild ride. I don't know if you guys want to get into that. I absolutely will, but
Yeah,
that was an
man.
experience.
I want to know I think that people want to know what you went
Okay.
through. I mean, Tom and I mean, we relate to a lot of the stuff that you're saying here. But I would love to hear what you experienced down
Yeah.
there. I think
Okay.
that's important.
And you had some precursors to it before you went down too, right? Like, um, some support aspects and whatnot
Oh yeah.
before you actually made the trip down, right?
Yeah. So reaching out to this company that they're out there. It's called Ambio, AMBIO. The founder's out of Canada. He's not a special operations guy, no military background, but Marcus Capone ended up going down there, and those two just made a partnership, and they support a lot of special operations guys, military guys, women that have gone through some abuse. They help everybody. But you go and you apply, and they accept you, um, and you do some therapy beforehand, because as many people as I talk to, like, you're not prepared for what this thing's going to do. So the therapist, and I remember mine, she was an amazing individual. Her husband was out of CAG. He did it, she did it. So she kind of gave me her point of view, and it's a weird saying, but what do you want to get out of the medicine? What do you want the medicine to do? And you're getting deep into spirituality. Like, if you don't believe in that stuff, you will with this. So in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, what do I want to get out of this? I just want to be a better person. I wanted it to take my anger away. Like, I got deep. Like, it's almost, they say, make a wish list and write it down. And I did. I wrote a wish list. Like, what do I want this medicine to do? So it's 2 sessions, and then you go down there, fly into San Diego, you drive into Tijuana. Nice, nice place that they have. They have 5 houses, I think, all over, that just one after the other. They have people for the week-long trip that you're down there. First day you get there, you do a therapy session. So I remember I'm there. I had an interesting group. They try to play special operations people, Leo people, women together, and then civilians, because civilians do this too. My group, we had a mix. So we had myself, a SEAL Team 6 guy, another SEAL. We had a Navy diver. That was pretty interesting to talk to him. We had a female who was a EOD tech at the beginning of the war. And then we had a civilian in our group as well who was a MMA fighter. And that was interesting hearing his background, because he got knocked unconscious, and his brain, and that goes back to the brain aspect.
Right.
He had heard, like, this is the best thing for your brain. So doing therapy, like, why do you want to be here? And man, it gets deep. Start crying. People are just pouring it out there, because your therapist will tell you, like, go down there and just give it your all. Like, just dump it out there. Don't hold back. You've already made it this far. Just don't hold back. So you're laying everything out on the line. And then that day, that night, you go to Tijuana, and you go to a quote unquote sweat lodge. And it's this concrete dome, and you crawl into, and they sweat you. It gets up to like 160. I remember my head burning. I'm like, why are we doing this? All walks of life go down there. People on opioids, people that have alcohol addiction. So they're trying to sweat everything out of you. You're not supposed to drink prior to this. If you have an opioid addiction pretty bad, they'll bring you down a month ahead of time and let you detox off those opioids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Most of the time it's just, hey, just stop this Adderall, whatever the VA, I'm not talking about the military, whatever the VA is prescribed to you, get off all of it safely. And then they're just trying to detox the rest, detox everything. Before you even start this, I forgot, you have to take an EKG back in the US and send them the results, because it's not taxing on your heart, but the drugs, your heart rate's going to skyrocket, and they just want to make sure your heart's okay. And when you get down there, the first thing you do is take another EKG. They're just, I say this because it is so safe. It is so monitored that I've never heard of anything happening down there. Day 2, you're doing more therapy, and then you're getting ready for the night. And day 2 is when you go into the medicine. Beforehand, you have a ceremony. That's where they have a fire. You bring out your wish list. What do you want this to do? What do you want to get rid of? And everybody talks. You can either say what's on your list, or you don't have to, and you throw it in the fire. Just trying to get rid of that stuff. And I, like I said, put on there, I want the anger and hate to go away because I was just so mad at everything. Threw that in there, and they call it a test dose, just to make sure your body's okay. You're not going to puke everywhere. Like I said, it's back to very safe. There's a doctor on site. You take that, and then there's 3 more doses. So they're slowly flooding it into your system. And then you go into a room. With us, there's 5 beds laid on the ground, and behind there is heart monitors. And they hook everybody up. As the medicine's starting to kick in, they're hooking you up. You're monitored for the next 14-hour wild ride that your body's going to take. They have a mirror in front of you if you want to sit up. This drug it's a hallucinogen. You'll see a lot of things. So you lay down, you put the eye shades on, and they call it going into the medicine. Your eyes will be open and you'll start seeing visions. Whatever those visions are, you can't control it. It's what the medicine wants you to see. I've heard some crazy stories. Some people that are like, it didn't make sense whatsoever. I remember going there and it was a roller coaster. I was on, and then all of a sudden, I'm in a room, and do you guys remember the high C, like the big high C
Yeah.
guy that
Yeah.
bust into the wall? His head was on a human body trying to take my kid, and I punched through his head, and like just weird things.
Wow.
Yeah. And the last vision, and this is what hit me the most, is my family standing one in a row looking at me, holding hands, and they all just turn and walk away from me. And I was reaching out for them, but I couldn't reach them. That was the last vision I had. So for me, it was like, if you don't change your life, you're going to lose your faith.
Wow. That's
This
powerful.
whole time.
Yeah.
So this is a 14-hour ride. Other visions here and there, but they call it purging. So you're going to purge a lot. I puked forever. The cool thing with this, I say cool, but once you take the eye shades off, you're back to reality. Like I took them off and I knew exactly where I was. I knew where the doctors were. I knew the people behind me, but I would take them off and they put a bucket next to everybody because everybody's going to puke. And man, I don't know how long it was, but at one point I just said, please stop letting me puke. Like I was talking to the medicine, please stop. But I'll come back to this and I'll tell you why. But while you're in there, you can kind of talk like, hey, I want you to help me with this. I want you to help me with this. And everybody's visions are different. But the one thing that everybody has said, you will feel buzzing on the top of your head. It's the weirdest thing. You feel buzzing and you hear it. And I remember at one point, I was just laying there. I'm like, oh, yeah, there it is. There's the buzzing that everybody talks about. This drug has been proven to repair brain cells. That's
What?
what the neural pathways. So when your head gets rattled, it's breaking up these neural pathways, the neural highway that goes in your brain. I'm going to try to say it like I know what I'm talking about, but I've done a little bit. The experts can really break it down. But what I've told is the neural highway back and forth that gets disrupted as we blow up doors, as we shoot machine guns, as we get rattled throughout the years. Lead, the amount of rounds we put in indoor ranges, outdoor ranges. And also in the Marine Corps, we used to throw our bullet casings in our hat when you're picking up the range. Like all that lead that you're putting on your head, just all of that stuff. It's trying to repair your brain. And they quote it like this: when you're a kid, you think outside the box. Like, well, why can't I do that? Why can't I fly? As an adult, you're so stuck in the box. This is trying to repair that, repair your imagination of questioning everything. Remember one guy said, he was like, I went through this medicine, I came back and I was like, oh my God, the trees are green. Like he had gone like for 10 years, just not even thinking about it, but just becoming, I don't want to say one with nature, but just realizing stuff that you're so narrow focused in life that you
Wow.
don't take it all in and get to enjoy life, get to enjoy everything about life.
So
Uh,
did you when you went into this, and I don't mean to interrupt you because I'm loving this. This is fascinating. So when you were doing this at all feel like you were out of control?
No, not out of control,
Okay.
because I had gone in there and one guy had told me, he's like, you have nothing to lose. And I kept telling myself, and I just kept telling the medicine, take me where you need to, show me what I need to see. Like I felt like I was a hippie at Woodstock, just taking all the drugs I can. But I'd never heard a bad story. So I was like, just show me what you need to show me.
So you just
Like I
gave
said,
yourself over to it freely and just said,
yeah.
I'll go where you
Like I
take
said,
me.
yeah, at that one point when I felt like I couldn't puke anymore. I was like, it's hurting. Please stop the puking. But about hour 12, you start to come out of it. Take your
Okay.
shades off. Everybody's different when they come out of it. For some reason, I was the first. They take your heart. They have the heart monitors on you. You have to get 2 IVs because you sweat, you puke. Um, you're uncontrollably shaking at sometimes because it's so taxing on the body. They make you sit there. A lot of people will go back to their room and they say the next day is called the gray day of like, what just happened to me? What is that? Like trying to figure life out after what just happened. And they say some people will run downstairs and be fine all day. That was me. Like during the whole time, you have 2 therapists with you the whole time that sleep at the house with you, that are there to coach you at any time. I remember I came running down the stairs and he was like, all right, I've heard of this, but I've never seen anybody do this. And I was like, I don't know, man. He's like, how are you feeling? And I felt the gray day. Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, do you want to go outside? It's like, hey, I just want to get my feet in the dirt. That's what I did. I went and sat outside. They made me a smoothie. It was the best smoothie I've ever had in my life. It was just, it was intense. Like I went outside and I just tried to process it all. That night, you kind of come out of it. Everybody's quote unquote hangovers over. You all come back to dinner and you have a therapy session. Like, what did everybody see? How did everybody feel? Uh, then the next day, I'm trying to remember what day I'm on. I think it's day 4. You have the option to do 5-MeO DMT. And some people take it, some people don't. And they call it the ego killer. Everybody says you see certain things, you feel certain things. So you come in, you smoke it, and then they lay you back and it does what it does. I did that. I hit the pillow and it blasted me off like I was on a rocket ship. And I remember seeing heaven, like the gates of heaven, with a kingdom in the background and just standing there and a voice saying, you're going to be a good dad. You're going to be a good dad. And then I came out of it, took the eye shades off. The therapist was right next to me. And man, I cried and I gave him the biggest hug of my life. And he was just there to support me. Went outside and you just process it all, trying to take it all in. 5th day, everybody takes off, goes their separate ways. But the real work is afterwards. I detoxed for 19 days. And how do I know that?
Wow.
I had night sweats every night for 19 days. When you're done with this, you still have 2, 3 more therapy sessions with the people that have done it. And I remember telling her, like, I'm waking up every night sweating. She's like, you're detoxing. You're detoxing all the lead, all the drugs that you've done in the past, everything out of your body. And I remember I did that for 19 days straight. And
Wow.
it's hard to describe. I came back a week later. I had a bad moment, had a fight with the wife, called the therapist. This stuff doesn't work. I hate this. And she's like, yep, everybody goes through that. You come back, something will happen. Like this didn't work. And then you come out of it. And life's been great ever since. It's the hardest thing to explain, but I haven't had a suicidal tendency since. Like that thought coming in my head, I think about it for a second. I'm like, what am I doing? Why? Like life has, I don't want to say new meaning, but I would sit in my office, just look outside and smile and catch myself like, what am I smiling at? I don't know. Nothing's going wrong. Why can't I smile? Why can't I be happy? And that's what this stuff shows you is like, it's okay to be happy. Like you see the positive side of life. I'll never forget the visions. Some of the visions don't make sense to me, but they say that that's what happens. We give so many that not every vision is going to make sense. A year down the road, you may think of something like, oh, that's what that thing was telling me. But I did it September of last year. And I tell everybody who's asked me, it saved my marriage. So the little guy just came in.
No, that's not
No
a
worries.
problem.
No worries.
Hey, here's the picture.
I love it.
My son's all about his imagination and making a movie right now. So they're making a horror movie.
That's
Oh, right on.
awesome. I love it. That's, you know what? I love these things. That's what makes this podcast great. It's just real. We
Yeah.
don't,
It's life.
yeah, I love it.
Absolutely.
So I love this story. I got to tell you, I'm fascinated with it because, you know, we've all been, you know, to some degree, everybody has their own experiences, right? But, you know, stuff I've never thought about. And, you know, the when we retired, and, you know, the loss of identity plays hard.
100%.
You know, and the thing I never really thought about is something that really drove home or hit home for me. What you were saying was is all the little micro traumas to the brain, right? You know, and I never thought about it. You know, uh, I played football before, and then
Mm-hmm.
you know we all the you know the percussion from the range, all the overpressure. I was an explosive breacher. I did that, you know. So I mean, all these things um, that we went through in SWAT is kind of like what you're talking about, and they're not things that you really think about, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so a question I would ask you is, um, were you feeling during your career when you were starting to notice, or when did you start to notice that you were going downhill? Was it after you retired, or did you feel it before then? Because I've had issues. I mean, I've been told I have PTSD. Tom's been told he has PTSD, and I have this weird reaction to PTSD. Is yeah, it's bad. It's so when I go under anesthesia, and I've had you know some surgeries, you know, stab wound and other things, right? And I've had but when I go under general anesthesia, coming out, I have these PTSD moments that are just like I am out of control, and
Fight everybody.
I'm fighting because I'm not there. I'm somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like this last one, I ended up at another side of the hospital, buck ass naked. Uh, just because I fought my way to the other end of the hospital through public places and all that. I mean, but I never felt that coming on, you know, and I'm never aware of it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you've experienced? Maybe not with anesthesia, but just not recognizing or being like, you're like, what?
Oh yeah. I would say back to what I went down there was the anger and the hate. My wife's like, "You're an asshole." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And looking back, like, oh yeah, I was an asshole. Like I said that to you. Like you make these things okay in your head.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm that person. I was that person. Looking back, um, I think the biggest thing I got out of it, we've all felt this foggy when you feel a little foggy brain, like hungover.
Mhm.
I was that all the time, even when I didn't have a drink. Like I just felt
Hmm.
fog and I couldn't think clearly. When I came back, I was like, that was gone. That was gone. I could sit at my desk and work all day and actually concentrate on work like that. I would go talk to somebody in mid sentence, forget what I was going to say. That's gone.
So how was this approached by the VA? I mean, clearly you had to have been involved with the VA on this, right?
No, so a lot. There's been a lot of movement to get this stuff legalized, and especially in the veteran community. So that Marcus Capone and his wife, they own a company called Vets. veteran exploring treatment solutions, but they really got involved in studying this stuff. Like, it's illegal in the US. Why is it illegal? I'm going to say because they don't know what it actually is. They don't know what it is, so they're going to make it illegal. So they had Stanford. Stanford was the first one to start doing research. And then another one in Texas. I can't remember what hospital in Texas that started studying veterans pre and post ibogaine treatment. I don't know how they were able to work it around because it wasn't legal in the US, but they were talking to individuals beforehand and after they would come back. Right now, it was just passed in Texas called the Texas Ibogaine Initiative. Governor Perry signed off on this. Governor Perry had Marcus Luttrell in his house for a month and saw the before and after effects of this. Governor Perry talked about it in the Joe Rogan show. Vice President, I can't think of his name. I know Joe Rogan had Donald Trump, JD Vance.
JD Vance.
JD Vance he's talked about it. Like, we need to get veterans on this stuff. So there is a massive movement. It's going to be controlled. I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies are going to get their hands in it, but no one cares. Like, as long as they can get it, if the VA clinics get it, the VA clinics, if it's illegal, they're not going to touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Right.
Because they're controlled by the government, and I don't blame them. So, like, we can't. Like, I get it. You're controlled and funded by the government, so they're not even going to dabble with stuff.
So how is this getting out then? I mean, what is the answer? Because I mean, you're definitely not unique, right?
No, it's slow rolling. So there's a lot of organizations. Heroic Hearts is another one where people can sign up and they take donations and they will pay for veterans to go for free who don't have it. Vets with Marcus and Amber Capone, they take donations and they'll send veterans that can't afford it, or you can pay for it on your own. And a lot of it's word of mouth. I think Sean Ryan, his podcast was the biggest one to come out there. He had several guests. I think it was in 2021, back to back, that had all done it. And the SEAL community was really the first ones to really go deep into this, the SEAL veteran community. Then it bled over to the Green Beret community. I know a lot of Marines are starting to do it. Because I'll tell anybody this, the Marines that fought in 05, 06, 07, they, no special operations guy in my time in the late 19s, 18s could compare to those guys. Those guys saw a lot of stuff, but they're kind of forgotten. The infantry guys are forgotten. The Marine Corps, the 0311s are kind of forgotten. But now there's so many organizations out there that are pushing this, and it's not dangerous, but it's a weird territory. I work with a guy, we were just talking to Vegas. He really needs it. But he's got his clearance. And he's like, how does that work, Justin? I got my clearance. Like, well, your clearance paperwork actually states, have you done any illegal drugs? You haven't if you've done this because it's not illegal in Mexico. So you've never really done illegal drug. Just because you do something in another country, that's like saying I looked at Twitter, and if I go to China, am I going to be arrested because I looked at Twitter in the US? Like, no. So there's a lot of misconceptions around this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. This is a powerful message. I mean, it's so amazing to me, though, how misunderstood PTSD and its impacts are by those who claim to be experts in the field, right? There's just not a lot of headway here in the U.S., and I don't feel like we're gaining any traction. What do you
They
think?
don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. Like, because you could say, yes, I had PTSD, but did I? Did I just have a lot of head trauma? And we could go down the nuance of what do you actually call this thing? I think PTSD is just the overarching, we're just going to throw a name on there because it's easy. Did I just have a lot of head trauma where I needed something else to fix it? I need something that wasn't from a hospital to fix it. Because when I first started going down this rabbit hole, people are like, "Well, why don't you microdose? Why don't you do smoke marijuana?" It's like I don't want to do that. I want to have something that kicks me between the legs and fixes me real fast. Not a quick fix because that was, I don't want to say painful, but that is, how did one guy explain it? He's like, man, it's like going through SEER school. The medicine is going to slap you around in you where you're puking your guts out. It's going to show you stuff you don't want to see, but it's what you need. It's like grandpa's medicine. Like grandpa's going to give you the quick fix, where grandma's going to be a little nice to you for a while. Now grandpa's going to take you out back and set you straight for a while.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk PTSD, it's like, okay, well, let's truly break this down.
Yeah.
Are, are you suffering because of trauma, what you've seen over there? Yeah, I would agree. I know a lot of guys that regret everything they do over there. Or is your head just hurting? Is your body just hurting? Is it a different type of pain? But the VA just wants to call it PTSD. The
Hmm.
See,
hospital just wants to call it PTSD.
see, I like that analogy. And Tom, you and I've had this conversation many times. Because, I think you're right. I mean, and is it just trauma or is it, I mean, do you have regrets? And I think everybody has some degree of regret on something, right? But
Mhm.
I can honestly say for me, I don't have regrets. I don't regret anything I've ever done because
Mhm.
everything I've ever done, I did for a reason,
Hmm.
right? Uh, so I don't have regrets on that. So I think you're right. But people will they'll call it PTSD. And is it a brain injury? Yeah, I think that holds a lot of weight. I think that
Mhm.
that's a really good assessment of it because one of the things that we talk about is you know if you don't regret something, right? There's it's not stress. It's and that's why there's this debate about PTS. Is it a dysfunction or a disorder? Is it an injury? You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
we can't even come to terms on that,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
you're right. So it becomes a catch-all for everything.
Yep.
It's PTSD. But you recognize yours was brain injury. I mean, these were things
Mhm.
that you needed to fix that you couldn't fix, no matter what your mindset was. I don't regret anything, but I can't get past it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Well, I think that's the
Yeah.
thing too, right? Is that, people run around, saying, oh, it's PTS or PTSD or PTSI or whatever you want to call it. And that when it comes to the treatment of those things, it's not like, you know, it's not like you had a heart attack and there's like, okay, this is how we fix a heart attack, or you got a blockage in your heart that, okay, we got to open you up and we got to clear that out. It's totally different because trauma affects people in different ways, and not
Yep.
everybody is affected the same way by any kind of trauma, whether it's,
Mhm.
seeing things that you shouldn't see or, or is not normal to see, or if it comes to brain injury and how that is going to affect you, if you have like you said, the micro concussions and all that trauma to your brain over an extended period of time, that's still going to affect people in different ways. Some people might be like you said, you became an asshole. Some people like me, I just become an asshole every once in a while. Like, it's not, and it's one of those things where it's not, I don't know when it's going to happen. I could wake up and just be like,
I know when it's going to
today
happen.
I'm an
When you're
asshole,
awake.
or whatever, and try and get over it. But it's still there, and it still affects me. It still affects my wife. It still affects my kids. And, I'm just, or I'm just not talkative. I won't communicate. I just need to go and just be by myself. Like, just don't talk to me. I need to go be by myself kind of thing. And who knows where that comes from? I don't know if that's, like having visual trauma from all the crap that we've seen over the years, or if it's all the freaking brain damage that I got from blowing shit up and, thinking it was cool to take the flashbang to the feet. Yeah,
You didn't
like,
go charge,
well,
yeah.
I'm the cool guy. I could do that. Like,
Mhm.
psh, blow me up, whatever,
Yep.
and that kind of thing. So,
It was a badge of honor back in the day.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
exactly. And
exactly.
but you
And now you're like, well, I screwed that shit up, didn't I?
yeah, but you look at it because I mean, I think there's some validity. I do. I believe there's validity in, you know, what they call repeat trauma throughout your career. I mean, I think for some people, like you talked about what we see, right? What we've seen over our career and how that affects us.
Hmm.
And I think it can be disturbing, and it may change. It may start to what's the word I'm looking for? It may actually start to skew your perspective on certain things. Um, but I think that you have to have a perfect storm, though, to get into the darker places like what you're talking about, Justin, right? Is you got to have a perfect storm. Because seeing that stuff can create depression and stuff like that. I fully believe that. But then I look at like NFL players, right? I mean, they're suffering these concussions and they have these post-concussion syndrome, right? Which is really similar. Would you
Mhm.
agree? Which is really similar to
Oh,
what you're explaining here.
shaking your head. Like
Yeah,
your
Hmm.
brain hitting your skull back and forth, no matter how you do it, it's creating some damage there.
right. So I think that, we talk about, you see these former NFL players, right, who are just in a dark place, kind of like what you're talking about, and they burn through their money, their life choices become really bad, they're angry. A lot of them end up homeless, right?
Yeah.
Um, because of this. And that's not regret, that's trauma.
Hmm.
So I think that you bring a great point to this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think it's all this, it's all similar, right? Like if you have a prolonged exposure to trauma or the things that you've seen over the years, in law enforcement or even in the military, it freaking rewires your brain. Like you're not the same person that you were before you started the job or you started in your career in
Right.
the military. You're not the same person anymore, because of
Yeah.
the things that you've seen, the things that you've experienced, and the trauma that you've experienced over the years. You're not that guy anymore, so you're somebody different. I mean, and especially if you've been married to somebody for an extended period of time, like, Tiff and I have been together since before I was a cop. I think Lynn and were together before you were a cop, right? And I guarantee you, they would both say, you're definitely a different dude than the dude I married or the dude that I
Uh,
met and went out on the first date with. And I'm sure your wife does the same thing. You're just not the same guy, you know?
I'll say this. Yeah, my wife would agree 100%. And a month after I came back, we went on a family trip. And when we came back, my wife was telling her friends, I got my husband back. Like she's the one to interview too. Is she's like, I have my husband back. Like this is the Justin I married. Granted, we've had rocky times like every marriage has since, but
Mm,
she's like, I have the guy back. And I was on a call because you do post therapy with these after you come back, and there was a cop on. And he's like, I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. He's like, oh, I'd be hyper vigilant. He's like, all the traffic accidents, all the bad guys I've seen that would come into a restaurant and shoot it up. I don't sweat the bad stuff, so I'm not hyper vigilant. And every guy who's done it will say the same thing. I haven't lost my edge, but I'm not super hyper vigilant all the time where I'm blocking out those connections with my family to be hyper vigilant. So it calms you down a lot. It makes you see life in a different manner where you can be present. I think that's the biggest thing is being present with people afterwards.
Wow.
mhm.
So it's obviously been a good journey for you. Um, Not an easy journey, but a good journey, right? Um, so long term, moving forward, what did they tell you? What did they talk about? So is this something that it's a one and done, or is this something that's going to be you may have to do again? I mean, is this known
Yeah,
or is it really up in the air?
every individual is different. What they've told me, I came back. I left. I'll never forget. We're all saying goodbye to each other. Something in the back of my head. You'll be back. The medicine woman's saying like, you'll be back. We got some other childhood stuff that we got to figure out here. I've talked to guys that have been back 3 or 4 times. It's just dealing, not the saying like, oh, this isn't for everything. I've talked to people that one and done. I think everybody's different.
Okay.
I went there to get out anger and hate, and I think that was from the military. And I think I will go back one more time. I got some childhood stuff that I gotta figure out down there and hash out and probably get smacked around a little bit. My grandpa's medicine, but everybody's different. One of my therapist at the time, I said her husband was in CAG. He went, came back, and went. She said 4 months later went again because they say the medicine stays in your system for 90 days. Like when you come back, don't drink, don't do anything for 90 days because the medicine is still running through your system. He
Wow.
went back after 4 months, hashed some stuff out again, and didn't go back for years. It was like, yep, I just needed another slap around and then came back. But everybody's different.
Right. Well, it's good though. I mean, there's hope. I mean, there really is. I mean,
Mhm.
Oh,
I I think you're a poster child for that. That there's hope, you know what I mean? Because I think I can honestly say I haven't been to that level. From what you've talked about, you were in the darker levels than I've
oh,
ever been.
yeah. And I tell people that all the time to like show where I've come from. Like I knew where I was going to do it. I knew the note I was going to write. I knew the last little bit. I knew the parking spot I was going to go into. It was getting bad, but a little piece of me was like, I'm not going to do this. And when you say poster child, if we could get everybody in the room that's done Ibogaine, it's all going to be, I don't say the same story, but how it's really turned people around. Like I said, law enforcement, military, this stuff is saving lives better than any PTSD medicine out there can. And
Right.
it's not, I remember Marcus Capone was talking about it because they asked, like, is this stuff addictive? Because that's the number one thing they'll say, oh, it's a drug, is it addictive? He's like, man, if you get addicted to Ibogaine, you got some other serious issues going on because that is not fun. Being in the medicine is not fun, but it's
Okay.
necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So,
I remember coming downstairs and talking to because they have housemaids that live there and clean up. And it's like a 5-star resort almost.
wow.
Oh, I'm so sorry for how much I puked. Like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, you didn't really puke anything. We changed your bucket out. Like, what? You're dry heaving the whole time. What you don't eat for 18 hours prior because they know you're gonna do that.
Okay.
But
Mm.
I felt like I puked so much. And they're like, you didn't puke that much. You were just getting out all the bad stuff.
Hmm.
So with your wife, um,
Mhm.
it's interesting that because one of the things that I think we overlook a lot of time are the spouses, right?
All right.
You know, and because I mean, this is not a journey that you took alone. Really, it's not. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you did the work down there, and you you did the hard lifting down there, but they did a lot of hard lifting behind the curtain, right? Behind the stage. So, how does that play with what she experienced? I mean, because you came back, as you put it, she said, I got my husband back, right?
Mhm.
Um, but along the way, she had to have changed a little bit too, just because of where you were.
100%. And I'll say this: I made my wife jaded. I made my wife distance herself from me. She didn't do that. I pushed her away. When I came back, she was very standoffish. She was like, do you really? Is this really going to work? She was 100% supportive of me go down there, but is it really going to work? And like she told me, she's like, I've seen you roller coaster. I've seen you get better for a few days, and then you just go back. And then, like I said, when she had mentioned like, oh, I got my husband back, she really saw a change in me. That I really, it, some people have said that this has happened, but she looked into me in the eyes and she was like, your eye color has changed.
Hmm.
Now that sounds strange,
Interesting.
but she's like, you've really changed. I've heard on other podcasts, people like, your eyes are a lot clearer. It's cleared out that fog. It's cleared out that hate, that anger. It's cleared everything out of you. And my wife, I've I've slowly brought her back into like, hey, you can kind of trust me. I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not going to push you away for not putting the dish in the right spot. But it has been a journey for her too.
I
So
bet.
what would you say to the people out there, the guys that are going through this right now, guys who are coming back who aren't in the, who are having the same issues that you were, but are to their families too? I mean, what would you tell them?
Hope's not lost. Can change. That prior life doesn't define who you are. Because in the end, it was a part of your life. It wasn't your whole life. You may have thought that the 20 years that some guys were in, but it's not your whole life. And if there's a chance to get better, why won't you take it? The guy I work with right now, I told him last week, I was like, what do you have to lose? Nobody's died from this stuff. What do you have to lose? What, it doesn't work for you? You let me know that you're the one guy it really didn't work for. Like, there's hope out there. Stop taking the drugs. Stop taking the booze. There's hope out there.
Mm-hmm.
So are you a member? I'm sure you are. You're a member of the Green Beret Association, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our foundation, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
there's both. Yeah,
so are they pushing it within that? Because I think it's the social networks that this message, you're never going to get it for advertising, but you got to get it through the social networks and those brotherhoods, right?
100%. We actually have a Slack channel. It's got over 1,500 former Green Berets. But on the vets community, in that the Ambio, the company I went down there. When I went down there, they had 5 employees, therapists, coaches. They were former Green Berets, Navy SEALs that were former former Navy SEALs that worked for them as well. It's the network of. I heard it on a podcast that jumped on our Slack channel. Had anybody gone through this? And I had a bunch of people messaging me. What do you want to know? Let's jump on a call. Let's talk about it. That's the hardest part. It's word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been out there forever, but it's because I've done it. Where the first time I heard it, I had a bunch of people like, "Oh, this stuff's been out there forever." This is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The network's out there, and it's slowly. I think once this Texas Ibogaine initiative really comes online, it really gets pushed into hospitals for actually treating PTSD. I think it's the sad part is it's going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the sad part. Like with this, I went down to Mexico to $7,000, where the U.S. that they're talking that this could be a 30,000 treatment.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
That's the only bad part is once, because Big Pharma's not going to not get their hands on this and do
Oh,
something.
no.
Right.
They definitely
I
are.
would tell anybody go to Ambio, go down to Mexico, do it with the people that have. I think Trevor, who runs Ambio, has been administering this stuff and doing it for 20 years. Like he's the real expert, not Joe Schmo in the hospital.
Well, and then when they make it, I mean, that's the problem is when it becomes part of mainstream treatment up here, it becomes unobtainable because you can't afford it. People can't afford it, right? So I mean, it's what are we accomplishing here? If you can't afford to do it, what's the purpose of even having it?
Or does it become somehow regulated in such a manner that you're actually not getting the medicine you should be getting?
The
You know what I mean?
pure.
You're not, yeah. Like it goes through all the government crap
Because
and the big pharma crap, and then now it's something that,
this is a root from a tree in Africa.
yeah.
That's
Interesting.
where it comes from. Is a root from a tree. It's funny. You go down there, they make you watch the documentary like where this stuff came from and how it made its way to the U.S. And the African tribe, they show it, and for them it's a 7 day like trip. So they give them enough. These tribes in Africa, they give their people enough to go trip for 7 days. I did it for 14 hours. I don't know how you could do it for 7 days. But yeah, that's where it comes over. Is from Africa, and it's the pure form. You're not eating tree roots, ground it up and put it in pill form. But I think once it gets to the U.S., it's going to be so diluted that you're not going to get the full effect of it. And I remember asking the owner of Ambio when we're sitting in the circle, like, are you nervous that this is going to take it over? And he's like, I'll never go to business. People are going to come here because they know this is the real treatment. I agree.
Yeah. And I'd kind of rather do it at a 4 or a 5-star kind of resort like place than a friggin' hospital.
Oh yeah,
You know,
right, absolutely.
you know,
But not that you're going to get really the benefit of a five-star resort when you're just in the thralls
the
of
puking.
puking. But
Well, they do. The cool thing is that that's why Ambio makes it so special. They have staff. They're making meals for you. To where the only thing you're worried about is therapy and going through the medicine. I don't say worry, but concentrating on. They take care of everything else. To where if you
Mhm.
did in a hospital, you got their gray walls around you. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'll trust those guys to make me feel better and the experts to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially, I mean, the reality is when you're going under a hallucinogen or hallucinogenic, a lot of it's about your surroundings, right? I mean, so
100%.
I don't
so
know.
you
Is
don't
that right?
necessarily have
I
a
don't
bad
know.
trip, right? I mean,
Yep.
you if you're in a shitty place in a shitty state of mind, then you're probably going to have a really bad experience. But,
Yeah, that makes
if
sense.
you're in some sort of sterile, just, hospital environment, you may not have the best of experiences as opposed to being someplace where everything's taken care of. You're with people that are going through the same thing that you're going through. You're experiencing the therapy aspect, and all that stuff leads up to having a good experience under the medicine.
Well, and I think that's you just brought up an important point that I never even actually thought of for it here in the US is because you guys, when you're doing this, right, when you're down there, it's almost akin to like a group therapy for the most part, and then you have
Mhm.
your individual experiences, right? Whereas here with that, I mean, we're so big on HIPAA laws, right? And privacy and confidentiality.
Mm,
I don't know how you would get the same results,
That's
because
still our next change with the people I went down there with. We
yeah,
still keep in touch.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
and
That's
I
awesome.
think based on what you said, I would imagine that hearing and experiencing to whatever level you could their experiences kind of helps too, right? It shapes
Oh
yours.
yeah. Mhm.
Where I don't think I mean, therapy sessions up here, I know they do, there's some group therapy type stuff, but it's different, right? When you put it into the
Mhm.
medical field, it becomes very regulated and very narrow focused, right? So, uh, I don't know that it would have I'm not sure it would have the same effect or results
Mm.
as what you're getting down there, because down there it's you. I
Oh,
mean, the
Yeah.
experience, you make the experience, not the hospital.
it it's a 14-hour ride, but everything else that encompasses it, going and doing the sweat lodge, the fire beforehand where you're burning your intentions. It's all that traditional stuff that comes into play that makes it. I hate to use the word special, but makes the journey a lot more real.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
I
yeah,
gotta tell you, Justin, I love how open you are about this. I love the way you approach it, that you're willing to talk about it, um, to talk about, you know, not just the success, but where you were and,
Mm.
how hard it was. I think that's a hard thing to do. Uh,
I,
truly.
I remember. Yeah, so I followed DJ Shipley ever since I saw his podcast on Sean Ryan. And he's got a great quote. He's like, "Just say it. Just say it. If you went through it and you don't say the beforehand how bad it was, are people going to really believe you that you changed this much? Just say it. What do
Mm.
you have to lose? Like I'm not ashamed to what was going on beforehand, because I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Not everybody's story is the same. Not every story is as bad as mine. Some stories are way worse. But man, if people just come out and say it, like, okay, maybe when I'm going through, maybe I'm not alone on this.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm not the only one. Because that's what a lot of people feel like. I I'm the one. I'm the bad guy. Like I just gotta go. Man, we've all felt that way. But you can get better as long as we just say it and bring it out in the open.
Yeah, for sure. For
Well,
sure.
I will tell you, my hat's off to you, brother. Seriously,
Thank you.
for so many reasons, but I'm so glad we had this conversation. I think this was such a powerful thing that we talked about here, and the way you delivered it, I like it because it was raw. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't
Yep,
it wasn't
it's honest.
promotional, and yeah, it was honest. It's not promotional. It's not scripted. It's just raw, and
Mhm.
I could see it when we were talking to you. I could see the wheels turning there, and I could see your framing of how you wanted to say something so that it came out a certain way, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I think that our audience they're just gonna love this. I think
Hope
it's
so.
so important, and I think it's important that more people like you are getting out there and saying this stuff. I mean, you came back, right? Green Beret, assigned to an A team. I mean, you guys, you're looked at, you're like a lot of people's heroes, right? And we all know that when you look at heroes, they don't have flaws, right? No, they just don't, right? That's people's
Mhm.
perceptions, right? And then you bring that human aspect to it, and you're like, hey, look, you know, I'm no different than you, you know?
Well, one good quote I heard um, from a special operations guy is like people always put us on a pedestal, like, oh, you're not supposed to get PTSD. You're not supposed to do that. And he's like, man, I must have missed that PowerPoint presentation where I wasn't supposed to be that way. Like,
Yeah,
we're just another person. We just went through some different training, but we're all human.
Hmm.
Doesn't mean we're
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Outstanding.
Cool. Uh, uh, is there anything that you want to say? Anything that you want to ask?
Just when you guys go down there, let me know.
Yeah. Hey,
Sure.
I'm not going to lie to you here. Tom talked to
Uh,
me about it a little bit,
Yeah,
and
I've contemplated it.
yeah, and I'm I'm that guy that's always hesitant. I don't know why. I just am. Partly just because I go through in my own head. I'm convinced that my issues are nothing like yours. My issues are nothing like Tom's. Mine are like this compared to everybody. I mean, that's what I convince
what
myself.
every guy thinks. Yep. Oh no, I've been there. I was that way too.
Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
but
Yeah.
you may have
I say
actually
that
swayed
joking.
me.
I just one of the founder Trevor Millar, I heard one of his podcasts and he was like, once you hear about it the first time, like, oh, this ABO, this Ivy game, if you keep hearing about it, keep thinking about it. He's like, the medicine has you. You don't have to do it, but if you just hear it one time, you're like, ah, whatever. But if you keep being intrigued, the medicine's kind of got a hold on
Mm.
you. But come check this out. Get your brain right. Get your mind right.
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
you may have swayed me, although I may have to put some rules on there. Like I go down with Tom so I can have somebody to compare myself to.
But I would tell anybody in your audience. So the company I went through is AMBO, AMBIO. They take everybody. I hate saying they take everybody, but what happens when you apply? They'll ask you like, "What's your background?" Because they'll cut military with military, usually Leo with Leo, and then women with women. If you want, like, you can always choose to go down in other groups if they allow it. But it's for everybody. That's just a great company. They're not the only one out there. That was just my experience with them. I know there's other companies that are doing it in Costa Rica and up in Canada, but like I said, if you're thinking about it, the medicine kind of has a hold of you. And in the end, what do you have to lose?
True.
Nothing. Although I do find it ironic that they do it in some of the most dangerous areas in the world.
Costa Rica's
You
not
know, I
dangerous,
thought
bro.
about that, but we were coming back from the sweat house in Tijuana. I'm looking around and I'm like, all right, this reminds me of being back in Iraq, and the driver, it's this blacked out Suburban. He's like, they know what vehicles to go after and which ones not to. He's like, we kind of have a pass in this town. Like, yeah, I don't see them coming after a bus full of special operations guys.
That might be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. But it makes you say, huh. Yeah, you come down here, issues, you're leaving without issues, and but you're going through ambush areas.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
all right, I loved it. Thank you
Will
for
do.
joining us.
No, thank you. Thank you,
Again,
guys.
guys, Justin Lee, one of America's heroes and a real guy. So, um, I don't know what else to say.
No,
So,
no. Hopefully
again,
this touches
Thank you,
base with
guys.
somebody, reaches out to somebody.
yeah, yeah.
know?
If you seek help, let's just say that,
Yeah. And I put it to anybody, if you're intrigued and you want to know more and you just don't know where to reach out, I'm on LinkedIn. Justin Lee. I'm there. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I don't do all the other social medias yet. I don't have a need to, but I will answer questions for people that are intrigued, especially our law enforcement. I'll leave you with one great quote. It's an anti-hero podcast, and I've talked about Tom with this. Like, my family's in trouble tonight. The Green Berets aren't going to come save my family. It's the police department that's going to come save us. It's the law enforcement guys. So thank you guys for what you did for 20 years. All of us special operations guys, we see it and we appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, brother. All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. Tune in, adb.com, ADB Nation. Join the nation. See incredible guys like Justin on here. Have a great day.